When this guy was Houston, he was unknown. I don't think even his teammates knew how to spell his last name. Well, but when he got to Montreal, he became an overnight sensation. Not from the quality of his play, he was a good player, is that his name sounded like Batman. It was Bateman pronounced, but it sounded like someone who hit really good and sounded like the DC comic book character. So today we're talking about Montreal Expo original John Bateman. Now, John Alvin Bateman was an American and pro baseball catcher who played in MLB for the Houston Colt 45's Astros, the Expos, and the Phillies. He batted in true left-handed. During his playing days, he stood a solid 6'3", weighing 290. Now, born in Killeen, Texas, he grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma, and attended Lawton High School. He signed with the expansion of the Houston Colt 45s as an amateur free agent in '62. In 10 seasons, he compiled a .230 lifetime batting average, and he ended his big league career with the Phillies. Now, Bateman clubbed 22 home runs for the minor league Modesta Colts in '62 and made the Colt 45s at a spring training the following season as Jim Campbell's backup behind the plate. Campbell, however, sputtered and soon lost his starting job to Bateman. On May 17, '63, he caught the first no-hitter in the Houston franchise history. Now, note this. Don Noterbart held the Philadelphia Phillies hitless in a 4-1 Houston win. For the season, he batted .210 while leading the team with 10 homers and 59 runs batted in. He then split time behind the plate with Jerry Grody in '64. Now in '65, the Colt 45s rebranded as the Astros. During that first season in the Astrodome, he struggled, ultimately spending almost half the season with the AAA Oklahoma City 89ers. While in the big leagues, he managed only a .197 batting average with 7 home runs and spending only 39 games behind the dish while backing up starting catcher Ron Brandt. In '66, Bateman won back his starting job behind the plate and set a franchise record with 16 home runs by a catcher. The record was tied by Jason Castro in 2013, who had 2 more as a designated hitter. Now, Bateman and Brand shared catching duties for the Astros through '68, but in a weird coincidence, on October 14, '68, Bateman was drafted by the Expos as a 6th overall pick in the '68 Major League Baseball expansion draft. 52 picks later, the Expos selected Brand, and the two resumed their platoon in Montreal. Bateman batted 6th in the inaugural game versus the New York Mets on April 8, '69, going 1 for 5 in the 11-10 win. As he had with Houston, Bateman also caught the Expos' first no-hitter. The first of Bill Stillman's 2, which occurred on April 17, '69 against the Phillies, and only the 9th game in franchise history. In 1970 from Montreal, he was 2nd on the team in hits and triples, 3rd on the squad in home runs batted in, doubles, extra base hits, and stolen bases. That season, he led all MLB catchers in stolen bases with 8 and finished 25th in the National League in power speed. Now, Bateman was a member of the Expos in October 1970. However, he was also there during the October crisis, which was gripping Canada with the FLQ terrorists trying to take over our nation. Bateman was friendly with the Montreal police, and on November 6th, the hiding place of one of the Front de Libération de Québec's terrorist cells was discovered. Expos manager Gene Mock was watching coverage of the events with his staff and was not very amused to see Bateman's bulky frame coming out of the hiding place on national TV. Now, on June 14, '72, he was traded to the Phillies for Tim McCarver. He was released at the end of the season to make room for rookie prospect Bob Boone behind the plate. Steve Carlton was 7-6 with a .286 ERA before Bateman was traded to the Phillies. With Bateman catching the rest of Carlton's stats that year, Carlton was 20-4 with a 160 ERA, so 27-10. Carlton called Bateman the best single caller he ever played with and unsuccessfully lobbied the Phillies front office to re-sign him in 1973. Now, Bateman was also good as softball. He toured with the fast-pitch softball team, the King's Court, from '77 to '80. He acquired the softball skills while playing for the Texas State Amateur Softball Champion Houston Bombers. But unfortunately, he died at a young age of 56. The native of Fort Sill, Oklahoma, passed away in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, on December 3rd, again, '96, at a young age of 56. So career .230 with 81 home runs and 375 runs batted in. But again, as a defensive player, one of the best players in Montreal history from behind the plate. So again, 6'3", 210. His first major campaign, his rookie year, some terrific numbers. 8 doubles, 3 triples, 10 home runs, 59 RBIs, with 103 strikeouts, with only 13 bases on balls. 1966 with Houston, probably his best career year in a lot of people's opinion. 17 home runs, 70 RBIs, batted .279 with 20 bases on ball, but with 74 strikeouts. And again, he had 44 extra bases that year, extra base hits, 24 doubles, 3 triples, 17 homers. Now, when he got to Montreal in '69, 8 home runs and 19 RBIs, hitting .209. But 1970, he batted .237, 15 homers, 68 RBIs. .275. 71, he batted .237. 71, .242 with 10 homers and 56 RBIs. When he was out of Montreal, he eventually only played 82 games in Philadelphia before being let go. 8 homers and 39 RBIs. And again, mostly Steve Carlton's catcher for those games. Now, John Bateman is always going to be a household name in Canada, not because he was the best player, but the fact is those early years of Montreal were all about the top players that were hits with the fans. Now, Gene Mauch was the manager in 1970, and ironically, we had a really good year that year, 73 and 89. So the lineup, the top 9 players were, of course, Bateman at catcher. He played 139 that year. Ron Fairley, Gary Sutherland, Bobby Wine, Coco LeBoy, one of the best names in baseball history, Mac Jones, Adolfo Phillips, and Rusty Staub had a great year, 30 home runs and 94 RBIs. And the other players that year, key on Montreal, Bob Bailey, Jim Ferry, John Boccabella, Ron Brand, who only played 72 games as his backup with 9 RBIs. Boots Day was there. Jack Hyatt, Fred Whitfield, and Jose Herrera playing in one game for Montreal. Now, in the pitching staff, of course, Carl Morton was there, Steve Renko, Bill Stoneman, and Dan McGuinn. And, of course, Mike Marshall in relief with Le Grand Québécois, Claude Rameau, and Baylor Moore as popular prospects. The ladies and gentlemen, the only ranked in top 5 in one category is pretty well walks. He took a lot of walks. Morton that year again was 18-11. Renko was 13-11. Stoneman was 7-15, and Claude Rameau 6-7 with 23 saves, and Dan McGinn 7-10. So, like I said, on the Montreal Expos, he was a top 5 most popular player. But John Bateman, he's fondly remembered because him and Ron Brand gave excitement to the fans. Because that second year, getting 73 wins, that was tremendous, which led into the 73 NL East pennant race they were part of. So, but he is sorely missed, and John Bateman cards were just treasured. We were kids, especially 72 tops. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Montreal Expos podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.